Hey everyone. Yeah, so I'm here to talk a little bit about my journey and things that I learned during that time. So, most startup stories that you hear, some are about failure, some are about success. You don't really hear about, the stuff that happens in the middle. And the thing is that, you know, I've talked to a lot of founders now, and a lot of companies end up kind of being in that area. But it's sort of, yeah, it's not really glamorous to talk about. And like Alex mentioned, it didn't start off that way. I started a company in my parents' basement in 2014. We went through YC, we raised a bunch of money. We were working with automotive manufacturers and battery manufacturers and doing all this, cool stuff. But I left at the beginning of the year, this year, and that company still exists, it's still running. But I chose a different path, and it was really hard. It's a 10-year journey. It's like your baby. And the kind of reason I'm here and talking about this is I ended up making a really long post. It was kind of like self-therapy, but I posted it inside of like a internal forum for Y Combinator, and it ended up getting like a lot of attention, a lot of upvotes. I was really surprised. And it turns out a lot of people had this experience, and so I'm hopeful that the one or two people maybe in this group who are going through a similar thing can sort of know that you're not alone. So in startup world we hear really a contradictory thing. It's either all about like persistence, don't give up, keep going. You might strike gold 3 feet away, you never know. And then the other side is fail fast. We've all read the stories of founders raising 10 mil and then a year later shutting down the company, right? And so which method, which path is the right one? So in my experience, it's really some companies, of course, go that way or the other, but my experience has been totally different. So things in the beginning are great. You're like, wow, this is amazing. And then you start going through the journey of the roller coaster. Things go up, things go down. And for me, in my experience, things were like that for a really long time. Like it's sort of see on this graph, like, I don't know, 7 years, 6 years, it's a long time. And, you kind of go through that and you hope that, things turn around. But, I decided to leave. And so the things that I learned, and if there's going to be one takeaway from this that you will remember, there's 3 things I'm going to talk about just super quickly. But the most important is around persistence. Founders, people that start companies, usually, you guys are the type of people who don't quit. Who think when everybody tells you no, you say, "Fuck you." And so the important thing that I found reflecting on my journey is that if you're really excited about something and you're having a hard time, but you're excited in your gut, you kind of feel that, you should probably keep going. But on the other hand, if you think about it and you're like, why am I doing this? I don't really know. The last X period of time has not been great, and that keeps going, then it's probably time to think about, what are you doing? Is this worth it? So persistence is good if there's sort of a timeline or some sort of methodology around it. The other thing is, this should probably say like default alive. You guys are, some people have probably read Paul Graham's essay on this, but my business, it was all about battery technology. So we had to raise money. You can't really bootstrap a business like that. You had to build, a lot of physical hardware. And so, we didn't really have the luxury of being able to like make a bunch of money and be profitable. We did have customers and everything, we still do. But the, now with my current company, totally bootstrapped, profitable from day one. It's like a relief every day. You're like, wow, this is great. So, really consider how can you actually make money, and ideally, be profitable or be at a point where, you can be default alive. And the other thing is location really matters. So what that means is basically, I'm from Ottawa, based in Ottawa. And honestly, Ottawa is not a great place to build a company, in my opinion. Toronto's great. I spent a lot of time in Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley is amazing. The location matters because you are surrounded by community, you're surrounded by people who have ideas, who have enthusiasm, energy. And if you don't see that, if you're not around that often, then you're going to lose some of that yourself, and you're just not going to think as big or really the same way. So those are kind of the most important things that I learned. And yeah, if there's anyone out there who has gone through this or is going through this, I'm happy to chat. I actually didn't put this on the slide, but I did take my blog post that I wrote and I published it just for like TechTO community. So it's like unlisted, but if you guys go to typescouts.com/story, you'll be able to read it if anyone's interested. That's it. Hello? Yeah. Okay, so you're asking me to pitch my company. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, it's pretty simple. It's a totally different business. Nothing to do with batteries. We are basically like a boutique recruiting service that works with North American-based clients to help them hire for remote roles outside of North America. So basically, we help you hire people that cost up to 80% less, but are really smart, really great, do everything the same way that folks do here. Simple.
If location matters, why do you stay in Ottawa?
So I'm actually, honestly, I'm probably gonna not be here next year because this company's remote. I spent 2 months in Mexico and really enjoyed my time doing that. But you have ties to family and everything, and it's just like really hard to leave that. But I actually had an opportunity, like when we went through YC, there's like a big thing of like, do you stay in the Bay Area or do you come back? And we chose to come back. But looking back on it, I'm like, I should have stayed. Like, I feel like my life would have been different if I stayed.
Great presentation.
Thank you.
Your battery company, you talk about persistence, knowing when to keep pushing. Was there a point when you were working on that battery company that felt kind of pivotal? Maybe you considered a pivot, maybe you continued staying on that course. What was that, and what made you keep going?
There was a lot of times when that happened. Oh God, what's like an interesting thing? One of the things that happened is we first built, so nobody in battery world, nobody believes you, and everybody says that you're full of crap. There's like a saying, liar, 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 battery supplier. So yeah, when we, right after when we're a really young company, we're trying to license our technology to big companies. Nobody sort of wanted to do that. And so we just decided to build our own product, our own consumer electronics product. We, kickstarted it, and we kind of, built it, spent a bunch of time in China, doing the whole thing. And we integrated our technology into that product. But what happened was that took our company in a totally different direction of like making a physical consumer electronics product rather than building out core battery technology, which made batteries work better. And so we decided to actually kill that off after a number of years, even though it was making money and it was successful, because we're like, oh, this is, we're doing something totally different than what we intended to do. And now we're like dealing with like warranty issues of this USB thing not breaking or whatever, rather than building out battery tech that makes batteries live longer and charge faster. And so we decided to completely kill that. And so we kind of pivoted back to the real thing that we intended to start in the beginning. So I don't know if that was like, like we pivoted away from the thing we started to do, and then we pivoted back to what we were doing in a way. But in 10 years, it's like you do a lot of stuff. We fired everybody a couple of times because we didn't have any money. Came back from that. It's a whole thing. Yeah.
One last question.
I have a question.
Yeah. Where is the question? Okay.
Yeah.
Hey.
So I'll give you an example. I'm an electrical engineer from Rice University, and then one of the things I have worked with energy sources. It's my startup. So I experiment with hydrogen as a source in India, and my team is working on it on stabilizing hydrogen. But my question for you is, when fossil fuel burns, it burns clean, right? I mean, it emits CO2, right? Other than that, it leaves nothing behind. Whereas with the battery, we are creating so much of waste. We are tapping into precious metals. We only have so much of it. And some of the precious metals come from Africa, where they are using child labor, in Congo, for example. And I can go on and on about why we should not have batteries. So can you defend why you wanted to go that route? Thank you.
So I would say I'm like way too dumb to answer that question properly, but I don't think there's getting away from batteries. You have one in your pocket right now, and so does everyone around you. And I don't think there's a solution outside of that until somebody invents one. So I don't know if you have ideas on how you could change that, then I'm sure the world would love to see it.